You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Thursday, partly sunny, a few isolated afternoon thunderstorms around. The high 97. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning and welcome in. It's a Tuesday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to get in on the show with us this morning. The X account's at Locker Room 109 at Barry Sanderson at Wimp Sanderson 1. Email address for the show is wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. Feel free to shoot us an email. If you want to get in touch with us. We want to thank Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. This is going to be hot this week, but it's going to start to cool off. You're going to want to enjoy that backyard. So build you a 5-star backyard, and the only way to do that is with Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is closest to you. Download that app, that Tide 100.9 app. Put that on your smartphone, and you can take us with you anywhere you go. Over the weekend, you know, you have Facebook. I don't know if you have Facebook, Chase, but it popped up that I guess Sunday would have been 9 years that we've been doing this show. So we've had a lot of producers over 9 years. So I don't know if that's us or who it is, but a lot of producers, a lot of good ones. Both Chase, we appreciate you being our producer. So Chase is back in town and ready to go. You're not leaving us in the next week or two, are you, Chase?
I'm here.
You're here. All right, good. Good morning, Dad. How are you this morning?
I'm here. The death of Caden Teller, I think, is on the minds of a lot of football coaches, a lot of parents. And it's been on my mind ever since I could feel that those parents hugging him to go off to play football and not bringing him back. So I think you need to keep them in your prayers. They're having a hard time with it. I'm having a hard time with it and don't even know the young man. So do that because that was absolute tragic thing with that nice-looking kid. So be the last time I mention that, but I think it's worth it.
The only thing I'll say about that, you're 100% right. Just make sure your son has the proper helmet. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what caused it, but you know, and these kids need to have good helmets in these high schools when they're at collision. There's a lot of technology out there. He may have had the best helmet out there, but just make sure.
The school provides the helmet.
I'm sorry?
I would imagine the school provides the
Yeah,
helmet.
just, you know, that's something that we need to make sure that we have the proper equipment for all these kids, all these schools, and they're trying to hodgepodge it because of finances and all that. But that would be one area that we.
Who wins and loses is not important when you think about things like that. Braves won 10-6 yesterday against the Twins. One of the mothers of one of the sons in North Carolina is suing the state of North Carolina because they're not allowed to get NIL money in the state of North Carolina. If you want to stir that up, you can. Lane Kiffin's brother has been with him before. He's coming back to be an analyst for him at Ole Miss. He's been a little bit everywhere. I'm not going to go over everywhere he's been. I've been a lot of different places, but I guess it's news. If not, then forget it. Dabo, when you listen to Dabo's show, you're not going to be able to call in. He's going to take text messages only for his shows now. Connor Stallion at Michigan said he did not purchase tickets or did not scout teams in person. That's them personally. We know we've had a lot of talk about that. Connecticut has been trying or is trying to get into the Big 12. The vote has not gone through for them. Some of the presidents are against it, so I don't know where that's going to stand. The spring training, the spring transfer portal could be eliminated. Of course, we're going to be playing with lawyers as usual. They are looking at that idea strongly and looking at other ideas. Don't know what the lawyers will do about that, but it's something I meant to mention yesterday and forgot it. The other question is, do you lose money if you're injured? Do you lose money with your NIL money if you're injured and cannot play in a game? I'm asking this because I was told something yesterday that I'm not sure. The games are hard to pick because of the transfer portal. Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, A&M. The Notre Dame does not have last year's new quarterback, do they?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. I need to find that out. Some of our listeners, if you know, somebody tried to tell me that they had Duke's quarterback last night. I'm not sure. Miami and, of course, Florida is a hard pick. Clemson, Georgia's a hard pick. Notre Dame, A&M's a hard pick. LSU, Southern Cal's a hard pick. So I'm trying to study them and hit it correctly this time. It's not real easy. On Thursday, and this is our time, not Eastern time. Justin will tee off at 10:16, and Tom Hogue will be tee off at 10:27, and Scotty and Xander will finish it up at 1 o'clock. Be the last group out at East Lake. Outside of that, that's about it. There's a lot of different things that come up question-wise and so forth and so on. Who's going to be good? Who's going to be bad? Welcome your calls to us. We had to make a change. We're going to have some of the radio shows that some of the guys gave this past week. We had to switch a little bit with our guest today. Something came up for him. So anyway, we'll have a good guest. Kevin will be on at the bottom of the hour, and we'll go from there.
All right, a couple things, which I kind of agree with this. Georgia did not release a depth chart, so Clemson said Georgia not releasing a depth chart. I'm not releasing a depth chart. I don't know why you would release a depth chart. I would try to gain every advantage I could here early. The first game, why tell your opponent who's going to be playing and allow them to watch film and learn a little bit more about those guys? Are you okay with these? And obviously the injury thing did not go through. I haven't heard any mandate on putting out injuries for gambling and all those things. So, a lot of people are just gamesmanship. I'm not going to tell you who we're starting. You'll figure it out when the game starts. I personally think that's the right way to do it. Your thought?
Well, certainly the kid that got in trouble speeding was kicked off or suspended. Clemson's trying to find out if he's going to play. The idea among the press is he's not going to. Of course, that affects the gambling line. So while Garth is in charge of being sure that people announce their injuries, he's not in charge of people telling who's going to play and who's not going to play because of discipline problems. That's not his job. But that does come very, very big into the gambling area. We're humongous in the gambling area now. And so I think I would agree. I would not announce that.
Yeah, I don't think they have to even announce the injuries and all now. There's no mandate on that. So I know it was mentioned, but it's not they don't have to. No, I haven't seen anything where they have to put out about anything about injuries. So
I think behind the scenes they've told them.
I don't think so. I mean, they may have said, they say it's coming, but it's not out there. So I don't think Georgia's sending
behind the scenes.
I don't think Georgia's sending Clemson, hey, these guys are injured and they're not going to be playing.
Well, I'm not talking about Georgia sending Clemson anything. I'm just saying if they're asked about the gambling, about the injury situation, they have to announce it. I don't know if that's right or wrong.
I think it may head in that direction, but I don't know that it's there yet. That's one question. The other one is Bruce Pearl. He's out there, man. Politically, with his beliefs and all on social media. And some people now saying, hey, this should affect his recruiting. Bruce Pearl does not, he doesn't want it to affect his recruiting, I'm assuming. But I think he had told me one time here recently, hey, I'm at the age now, I'm going to tell you what I think. It doesn't matter. I'm going to put my beliefs out there. You okay with that? He's pretty out there now with everything that
What's he saying?
He's just a lot about Israel, about Trump, about a lot. I mean,
Has he named his preference for voting?
Well, I think he's pro-Trump for sure. Yes. So he's out there as Auburn's basketball coach all over social media. I don't know if you follow him, but he's.
Well, I think he does. I think to some extent he tells you that, but I would say in all areas he doesn't do that. I think he's very good, but I think there are times that he leads you to think one thing and actually that's not coming down. That's my opinion. He's very, very good, smart, good coach, does different things, dresses, supports the other programs, that kind of thing. I do think that there are times when he gets to certain points, and I'm not going to get into that particularly, that we kind of feel like that's what he's doing, but he's not completely doing it like that. So anyway, I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, I'm not arguing. I'm just asking.
I don't know.
You okay with it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Or do you think people should say, hey, that's politics?
I'm okay since he's supporting Trump.
I think he is. It's I don't know. Some people may say, look, you're Auburn's basketball coach, just leave it alone. But, some people don't like it. Some people may think it's fine.
But, the thing about it, Barry, everything you do in this life, some people don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way life is for all of us. Some people don't like this, and some people don't like that. Why they do this and why they do that's just the way people are, and that you just have to bite the bullet and go on about your business.
Well, he seems to be able to get away with it with not a ton of backlash. Now he may be getting it personally on private message and stuff like that. All right, we got full phone bank here. Let us get to break here. We'll get to these phone calls. We want to thank 2 Minute Truck, though. They're at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to make this a smooth move. Where it's local, out of town, out of state, no problem. Let the professionals handle it. They'll take great care of you and your stuff. Give them a call today. It's 205-247-5050. It's 2 Minute Truck. Movers who care.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. While the Alabama football team has been preparing for the season opening game against Western Kentucky Saturday night, the city of Tuscaloosa has been preparing for 100,000 fans at Bryant-Denny for a night game. That means many fans have been drinking all day, and large crowds will be on the strip after the game is over. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage all throughout the day. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Large police presence in downtown right now. And this is on University at Lurleen Wallace. So if you are traveling in that area, looks like there is an accident causing that. But it is very severe, so just watch out for the delays. I also want to give you this one in advance.
Thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance.
Meet Anthony while Christian and Corey get you ready for the Bama game this weekend. Located at 1925 University Boulevard, downtown Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays hot and dry today with a sunny sky, the high 97. Clear tonight, the low 72. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, the high 98. Thursday, partly sunny, a few isolated afternoon thunderstorms around, the high 97. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Never miss a moment of the action. Download the free Tide 100.9 app today.
Pressure treated pine from Great Southern Wood. Always remember, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. Go to yellowwood.com to find a dealer closest to you. To the Yellowwood hotline, get Joe in. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, coaches.
How are you, sir?
Good morning. Good. Congratulations on your 9-year anniversary.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm for Bruce Pearl all the way. He's a devout Jew, and he knows his Bible, and he knows if Pamela Harris goes into office, what's going to happen? The United States is going to turn their back on Israel. So it's time we start speaking out. And, you know, it's pitiful. We can't even have a president to have press conferences anymore. They won't even answer questions publicly. So, you know, we've become so soft. And, Barry, it's your generation that's caused it. And if she goes in, it'll be your generation that puts her in. That's just the way it is. Yeah. Wim.
Yeah.
LSU, USC.
Yeah.
What do you think? 2 point. That line has fell from the middle of the summer from 6.5 to 2.
I don't know. I've looked at it. I've been involved with some games that the transfer portal is not going to affect a little bit, and I haven't decided on what I'm going to do yet. I think that's one game I've looked at. You know, the problem I have with USC is that I don't know, and the problem with LSU is that how good are they defensively?
You got that right.
Good. They've changed their defensive. They've changed their defensive coaches, but I don't know how good they are defensively. So
let me see if either one of y'all can answer this question. How many home openers has LSU lost in a row? Don't look it up, Barry.
I would say 3 or 4.
This is not a home opener for LSU, though.
It's 4. And your boy.
And LSU currently...
No, it's at Las Vegas.
Yeah, currently LSU...
They've lost 4. Their first game of the season, they've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, currently LSU is a 4.5-point favorite.
I'm very scared. I'm really scared to bet on games, not bet on the blue plate games because of what happened in the past. I try to look at the game that day as best I can. Of course, I failed on the last one because I made a bad mistake by not knowing that Nevada had 53 transfers come in, so that was my fault. I'm trying to avoid that this time, and I'm having a hard time with games. I studied them last night, and when I pick a game, it will be a gamble.
Well, we know who Barry's got. He's got Kelly because he's done said he's going to win at least 10 games this year. And he's still drinking that Kool-Aid, so he needs to keep on drinking it. Yeah. Let's go to your other Kool-Aid coach, Barry. Dabo, 13.5 points. Does he cover?
I don't think he does.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Barry's got Clemson covering and LSU winning.
I didn't say that. You said that. I had LSU winning. I never said anything about LSU.
I wouldn't.
Barry?
I don't know that he's going. I'm not using it as a blue play. What I'm going to do with it? I 13.5 points. I just don't know how. I'm not positive how good. I think Georgia's well coached defensively. I just think that. I've always thought that. And
well, let me put this bug in your ears, both of you.
Okay.
Georgia gave up to Auburn a running back over 200 yards rushing last year in their game. First game when they played each other. And they had an opportunity, Auburn did. He had the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to win a football game. And they didn't do it. Milroe ripped them open, wide open in the championship game. And y'all don't forget, guys, I've been telling you and telling, Kirby has lived off the Eastern Division. We're going to find out how good a coach he is this year. He finally has a schedule that we're going to be able to tell. I'm serious.
Yeah, I understand.
Y'all think I'm crazy for thinking he might lose 2 or 3 games, but I do. I do believe it.
I don't know. I've about studied it out. So
yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
So, Wimp, you taking LSU or you taking USC?
I would probably take LSU, but I would also think if our blue played, I don't want to miss 2 games in a row. the 4.5 games, 4.5 points. I'm not sure. It takes away the field goal. It doesn't. 4.5 points doesn't give me much except 2 field goals. So I'm not. I don't know what I would. I'm going to use it or not. I would think probably LSU may win, but I don't think I'm going to blue play it.
Which game y'all are most interested in watching this week? Besides Alabama.
I want to see Colorado lose on Thursday night.
Okay.
I think Miami and Florida is a good game. Florida has good home field advantage. Miami's very, very talented. I think Notre Dame and A&M is a very good game. I've been trying to find out. Somebody had tried to tell me last night that the former Duke quarterback is now at Notre Dame. I don't believe that's correct. But if he did, that means that the coach at A&M would have coached him.
Yes.
So I don't. If that had been true, you would have seen it in the media all the time. I haven't seen one thing about it in the media.
Yeah.
So
A&M's going to beat Notre Dame.
Yeah,
they're going to win.
I'm a home.
People are going to realize how bad a coach Jimbo Fisher was. Of course, I tried to tell y'all. Wimp said he'd never see it in his lifetime. He can get fired, but he did. So we'll see.
You hadn't picked any of the games. You'd want us to pick them, but who you?
I'm going with USC and Georgia.
Okay, so you're going Georgia to cover the 13.5.
Yeah, and it would tickle me to death if Dabo could pull the biggest upset of the season.
You just got through telling us how bad Georgia was defensively, but yet on the next breath you're telling us that Georgia's going to win.
That's called talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Wimp, it's how bad Dabo is, Wimp.
Oh, okay.
It's how bad Dabo is. Okay. It ain't Georgia.
Okay.
It's how bad he didn't even win the conference, Wimp, last year.
Well, Miami's good in that league, and Florida State's good in that league.
Well, he'll have a hard time winning it this year, even with Florida State done losing the conference game.
Yeah, Dabo may be over, Joe.
Yeah. Well, you see, Bama didn't want him. Greg Byrne didn't.
He didn't. You're right about that.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Thank you, sir.
He ain't about to leave Georgia to go to Alabama. That ain't no plus.
No, he's talking about Dabo, not Kirby.
Okay.
All right, we'll get to break here. Sorry, Pat. Phillip got us back. We got a little long there. Got to get that.
Good job. Good job, Joe. You confused me more than ever.
I'm not going to say what I'm going to say. All right, we'll get to Kevin Skarbinski. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Large police presence in downtown right now. And this is on University at Lurleen Wallace. So if you are traveling in that area, looks like there is an accident causing that, but it is very severe. So just watch out for the delays. I also want to give you this one in Van.
How many Tuscaloosa customers are searching online for your type of business? It's quick, easy, and free. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion, Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern. They bring you the 7 o'clock hour. We appreciate those guys. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. Well, it's Tuesday. We'll get right to the Yellowwood hotline. He writes for the L.com, the Birmingham Lead. Joins us every Tuesday, Kevin Skarbinski. Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, Kevin. Morning.
I'm good, fellas. Good morning. How are you?
Good. Go ahead.
Based on last week's visit about former coaches in UAB and so forth. Why has UAB gone backwards with the media and the fans as far as their sports are concerned? Now I know they've got a new stadium, they've got a new coach. I think when Bill was there, Clark, who's a great friend of mine, they did a good job. But since then, I don't know, and before then, I don't know. And basketball is not drawing the kind of people that they drew when former coaches were there. Is there, based on your article last week, is there a reason for that? We don't talk about it as much.
Well, it's an issue that UAB has faced for a long time. How do you grow your fan base? And that is something that they have fought with from the very beginning. And they were gaining momentum. They gained a lot of momentum in football under Bill Clark, obviously. They were competing for championships. They were winning championships. People really were enthusiastic because of the way that students and local people, particularly some very prominent business people who weren't necessarily UAB supporters to start with, but they recognized that there was value to Birmingham. UAB is very valuable to Birmingham. It's the largest employer in the city, largest employer in the state, and does so many wonderful things, especially on the medical side. But the undergraduate side of the university has grown to measure it with the return of the football program and the success that Bill Clark and his staff led. And that momentum, they didn't really build on that momentum, though. That momentum almost, when Bill, unfortunately, with his back issues, and he had to step down to have major back surgery, it's as if the momentum kind of halted, and they have not recaptured it. They certainly haven't had the kind of success on the field since Bill left that they had while he was there. Brian Vincent, who was part of Bill's program, he got that 1 year almost as an interim coach, and just came so. They had so many close games that year; it was ridiculous how many close games they lost, because that was a team that was built and set up to win another championship, and they just couldn't get it done. And Trent Dilfer, while he's a big personality, he's a big name. He had never coached college football, and he hasn't had much time either, let's be honest. He's only going into his second year, but they weren't very good last year, and especially on defense. Even though they had some dynamic players on offense, the quarterback, Jacob Zeno, had a big year. But so it's a lot of things that one complaint that UAB people have, real hardcore supporters, is they don't feel like that the program has been marketed, the whole athletics department has been marketed and promoted and advertised the way that it needs to. And I would agree with that. I don't think that they have taken advantage of it. They have done some really cool things, like the Andy Kennedy, I don't know if you guys remember the hype video they did, This is a Revival, about UAB basketball when Andy Kennedy came back. Was really cool. I mean, that was one of those things that gave you chills if you know the history of the program and some of the great things they've accomplished. And Andy's done great things. I mean, that's the flip side. Basketball he's gotten them back to where they're competing for championships and winning championships and getting to winning conference tournaments, getting to the NCAA tournament. They haven't had a breakthrough there yet, but he's getting them there, and he's recruiting good talent. Yaxel Lindeborg is one of the better players in the country. And him coming back, they'll be very good again this year. But it just hasn't resonated as much with the fans. And I don't know what the issue is. And again, students, even though they do have a bigger undergraduate presence and population than they've ever had, they have not responded the way you would like consistently. Now, the Memphis atmosphere, I went to the Memphis game last year, guys. That was special. That was like the old days. That was like Penny Hardaway coming in there. That was like Bob Huggins bringing number one ranked Cincinnati in there. It was crazy in there. It was loud. It wasn't I don't think it was a sellout, but it was pretty close. And it was like I remember watching back in the old days. So they just have to do that more consistently. And they're having the success on the floor in basketball. They're not having it on the field in football. And you guys know, it's hard to get people excited about a program that's not winning or not competing for championships.
Well, the answer to all of it is Alabama and Auburn overtake everything in the state. That's the answer.
Well, there's a shadow, and there always has been and always will be, because those programs, those have, over a century of building fan bases, of winning, of, families. You're born into an Auburn or an Alabama family for the most part in this state, and even a lot of UAB people. Their their favorite team is not UAB, it's either Alabama or Auburn, and that's one thing that UAB's tried to do over the years, to say, look, you can be an Alabama fan, you can be an Auburn fan, but you can also be a UAB fan, and you can get a ticket to UAB football way easier than you can, and for much less money, for an afternoon or an evening at Protective Stadium, and that's worked to some degree. And we can go back to, if you want to go back to, we can go back to the roots of Gene Bartow. We talked about last in the letter about Bear Bryant, and you got his letter to the NCAA, and that really started a war with Alabama. And UAB can't win a war with Alabama for the hearts and minds of fans. It just can't. It started way too late.
That may have been a bad question, Barry. I'm sure he's got some SEC things he wants to ask.
Well, I want to ask you this, Kevin. And nobody likes to be criticized, regardless of who you are. But
correct.
But this past week, Deion Sanders will not answer a question from a reporter from the Denver Post or whatever it is. Now it comes out, Dabo, I'm not taking phone calls. You can email your questions or text your questions. So now he can just pick and choose which ones he wants to answer. To me, Kevin, and I think that's pathetic. Come on. You're making $10, $11 million a year. I know you don't want to be criticized, but to have to send in a question by text or email and to not answer a reporter's question and try to embarrass him to maybe he has a personal vendetta against Deion Sanders. I don't know. Are coaches coming across now too soft in these situations, in your opinion, Kevin?
Well, in those two situations, certainly. and look, Dabo's he's better than that. He should be better than that.
Yeah.
And if we all remember the call from Tyler from Spartanburg that went viral, and it went viral because not only because of the criticism from the caller, but Dabo's response. I thought Dabo's response was great. I thought he spoke from the heart. I thought he was tired of it basically showed he was tired of the criticism that they've gotten, that people had forgotten what Clemson had accomplished. And so I thought it was one of the most real moments or segments on a coach's show I've ever heard. May have been the most real segment any of us has ever heard on a coach's show. And it didn't hurt Dabo at all. In fact, what happened after that? Clemson went on a winning streak, right?
Yeah.
So, so the outcome was good. It didn't make Dabo look bad. I thought it made Dabo look honest and human, and showed that he didn't like the criticism he was getting. And that's one thing, as you said, we're all human. Even in that tax bracket, those guys don't like to be criticized. I can remember sitting down the first time I had a long sit down with Nick Saban. We talked, and it was June of 2007. He talked about the criticism he got, the heavy criticism he got for saying, I guess I'm going to have to say it, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach, and how he was, just hammered in Miami in particular, and he didn't like that. He that bothered him, and that's Nick Saban, who we always, we thought for a long time was just this coaching robot that had no emotions, well, except anger. And so that was not true. He was sensitive to that. And Deion Sanders as well. And what's really surprising about Deion is this is a guy who was a major professional athlete in not one but two sports for a long time. And so he was in the spotlight. He got the praise, and he also got the criticism, and that's something else that's a little disturbing. And the message it sends to your players, first of all, you absorb the praise, right?
Yeah.
You reap the benefits of the praise financially by the contracts that you sign, the amount of money that you bring home. So you can't have it both ways. And there's going to be criticism with it. And look, sometimes that criticism is going to be unfair. I've probably been unfair. I'm sure I have at times in my criticism of coaches. Now, I always try to make my criticism professional about their jobs, not personal. And I think there are other people in the media who have basically erased that line, and their criticism has gotten really personal and crossed a line that I don't think you should cross as a professional journalist. But that's personal approach to the job. So anyway, I think you've got to be able to handle it, and shying away from questions from your fans is not the way to do it. Shutting out reporters who write things you don't like is not the way to deal with it. You know, Nick Saban called me on several occasions while he was coach. He didn't like things I had written, but he would call me and we would talk through it. And Wimp, you were the same way. You didn't like some of the things I wrote. You'd call me, we'd talk through it, or we'd talk in person, and then it was over. You didn't hold a grudge. I didn't hold a grudge. And I think Nick was the same way, at least in my experience. You know, he never cussed me out in public or in private, never banned me from asking questions or showing up at press conferences, even though some people would suggest that. Some fans thought that was the case. It never was. So Nick knew how to handle it, and you just have to be better than that. And I'm disappointed in Dabo to hear that.
It seems like we've, because of social media now, we feel like we have a voice. And we want to be a I told you so society now. Like, people could not wait to run to social media and criticize DJ Uiagalelei. I told you he couldn't play.
Yeah.
Criticize Florida State. And they want to do it on social media now. So we have become I told you they couldn't do this, that, and the other after one game or whatever. So that does probably, as a coach and as a player, that's why you need to stay off of that stuff. Probably does get pretty frustrating. All the know-it-alls. And the people that are saying all those things couldn't even pick up a football, much less play in a game like the kid just played in.
Well, you've hit on the biggest change in society, and it may have been the introduction and the growth of social media. My younger son, Cannon, he's written a paper about him. He thinks social media is one of the biggest ills that society has ever introduced on the whole. Now, there are positives to it, and I can sit and watch animal videos and dog videos in particular, panda videos, and just laugh my tail off. There's creative stuff on social media. People can be incredibly creative, but there's also that element of taking pleasure in other people's pain.
Yeah.
There is far more of that, and there's an easier avenue to do that than ever before. And that's a sad and dark side of human nature that extends well beyond sports, obviously. But you have to be able to, if you're a coach, you're a leader, you have to be able to deal with that. And how you deal with it sets a tone for how your players deal with it.
Yeah. That.
When I got the job at Alabama, the expectation factor was high. Wasn't like, the question I'm going to ask you, certainly not like this. Is the expectation factor in football never, ever going to be pleased again? You've got, if they have a good year, well, basically all those players were Nick Saban's players. On and on and on and on. Yes, it gives writers a lot to write about. Is this expectation factor something that will never be come to an end?
In short answer, yes. Look at LSU after Nick left there to go to the Dolphins. Les Miles had a lot of success off the bat. Now, I think 2005, They won a bunch of games. 2006, they won a bunch of games. 2007, the year Nick comes back to Alabama, they win the national championship. They get fortunate. They have a couple of overtime losses, but they do get to the BCS championship game, and they win it big. And yet there was this constant drumbeat that really never subsided completely, that Les Miles won his biggest victories with Nick Saban's players. And that's one of those things. I mean, I think that's kind of a foolish approach. The minute you become the coach, they're your players.
Yeah, that's right.
You're the one that has to develop that team. You're the one that has to, go through the ups and downs, or as Les had to do in 2007. Like I said, they lost twice in overtime. So they had to overcome that. And then the rumors that he was leaving for Michigan the day of the SEC championship game. And he has a press conference in one of the most memorable press conferences in SEC recent history. And he closed it by saying, "Have a great day." And the edge in his voice, you could tell he was ready to run through a brick wall. And I'm sure his players were too. And they won the game, of course, and went on to beat Ohio State to win the national championship. So that shadow is never going to leave. And I don't know that and especially at Alabama now. I mean, Nick was successful at LSU, but nothing like he has been at Alabama. He was at Alabama. So Kalen DeBoer is facing the deepest, darkest shadow, if you will, of expectation that any coach in college football probably ever has. Maybe Ray Perkins. The only one that may be comparable would be Ray Perkins. Yeah. Following Bear Bryant.
One of the things I like about Coach DeBoer that I hear him say, and this may not mean much to many people, but I think he has some things that he did at Washington. There were some things that were done here at Alabama. I think he talks to probably his senior players or his leaders and says, "Hey, did you guys like this?" I heard him talk about like Friday night. "Hey, I got to find out what we want to do. I want to see what they like. Do they like watching the movies or not?" Where he kind of adjusts to what the players like with everything. I think he's given those guys some input on stuff like that. He's taken some things that Nick Saban did, keeping it, and not doing some of those things. Some of the stuff he did in the past, he's keeping it, but I think he's getting the players involved in these things, and I think that's what's making this team so close. Kevin, do you see the same thing?
Well, I had a chance last Thursday with Scott Griffin, who I'm doing a Saturday show starting September 7th on CBS 42. We did a lengthy interview with Kalen last Thursday. It was late in the afternoon, and I was struck by his personality. He just seems genuinely humble, first of all.
Yeah.
That he does not seem like he has all the answers. He doesn't come across as arrogant or just as a know-it-all. And I think that's important. Now, that's not to say there's a difference between, and some people might say, well, that's soft, or I don't see it that way. And I know that was, people might worry and think back to the Mike Shula days, for example. But there's no comparison between Kalen DeBoer and Mike Shula, for example. I mean, Kalen has a winning formula. It has proven successful. Not a great sample size in terms of years, but it's been incredibly successful. And he is willing to listen, which I think is a lost art in human nature in general. He's willing to listen. And if he hears a good idea, he'll incorporate it. And the fact that he's willing to ask and listen to his players, I think that's incredibly important today more than ever.
I agree.
Players want a voice. They want to be part of the program. They want to participate in the revenue that the programs are generating, and they will start to do that shortly. And they want to also have a voice in how the program is run. Now, there's a line there. The players can be too much in control, and the coach loses control. So there's a balancing act there. But I'm just impressed by his personality. And for example, I asked him, you guys, I don't know if you guys heard last week, Steve Spurrier picked Alabama to win the SEC on Steve's podcast. And he said he really likes that new coach at Alabama, Jalen DeBoer. Yeah. He called him Jalen. Yeah. When I said that to Kalen DeBoer, he burst out laughing. he said, and he was genuinely, he thought it was funny that Steve Spurrier got his name wrong. And he said, listen, he said, I just visited over the summer at some banquet or something. He had visited with Steve. So it's not like Steve doesn't know who he is. Steve just misspoke. And some people would say, well, that's an indication that, Alabama hired a guy that's, who's this guy? Who is this guy? But Kalen thought it was funny. And again, it was a genuine reaction because he had obviously had not heard that before because it only happened the day before. So anyway, I just think he's got the right stuff to be successful, to handle the shadow, the expectation, and, whether it'll work in the long run, I don't know. None of us knows for sure, but I think he's got the right stuff and the right personality to withstand some of the heat and he's going to get starting Saturday night. Yeah,
the Saturday night they're going to analyze every play, how much if he plays the backups, all this different thing. You'll find out. You'll start to learn his coaching style, which I think is what kind of makes it so exciting. It's kind of refreshing. Not that we didn't love Coach Saban, but it's something new, and everybody's kind of enjoyed it. So we'll see. I can't believe T.J. Finley will be the starting quarterback for the team.
That was a good question I had there.
Isn't it amazing? What's this, his third game against Alabama with 3 different schools?
Yeah.
And
he's just a junior. He's a junior.
Yeah,
how's that even possible?
He may be the first 10-year college football, but I don't know. It is crazy. Obviously, the COVID year that got a lot of guys took advantage of is factoring in here. He had some injuries. I don't know. It's pretty amazing. And if you think about it, how close he came with Auburn to beating Alabama in what was it, 2021. When Alabama had to come back and Bryce Young led the incredible drive to tie the game at the end of regulation and then, of course, won it in the fourth overtime. But so he's he's not going to have any fear, I don't think, of Alabama. Now, I don't think he has the weapons around him, and I don't know how much he's improved as a quarterback. I haven't kept it that closely. Obviously, he's done some nice things since he left Auburn, but it's amazing, though, the age of some of these guys and the experience of some of these guys. That's one thing coaches talk about. We lose sight of, that makes a difference. If you're a 22 or 23-year-old who's been on a college campus in a program for 5 or 6 years, and you're competing against a true freshman who last year was in high school, I don't care how talented they are, that's a difference. That can make a difference. I don't think it's going to make that big a difference Saturday night, though.
No. All right, we could go all day. Kevin, tell everybody where they can find you and catch all your great stuff.
Yeah, best thing to do is follow me on Twitter/X at Kevin Skarbinski. That way you can keep up with all the different things I'm involved with, starting with the Birmingham Lead, writing twice a week. You can subscribe to that publication, BirminghamLead, LEDE.com. And I write twice a week for them. And then, as I said, starting September 7th, because CBS has a Big Ten doubleheader, this coming Saturday, starting September 7th, Scott Griffin and I, 6:30 p.m. every Saturday on CBS 42 in Birmingham. College Football Saturday. It'll be the most fun you have on a football Saturday, not watching an actual game. So hope people will check it out.
Appreciate you, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
All right. We want to thank Yellowwood. They made this 7 o'clock hour possible. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, I do have some relief for you here in downtown. On University at Lurleen Wallace, there was earlier police presence that they have since cleared, and residual backups have now unwound. So we're pretty much left with the typical slow and go traffic for your rush to work.
Repair and the future repairs. No overtime charges on weekends and holidays. No hassle guarantee. Adams Heating and Cooling, 205-872-0045.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays hot and dry today with a sunny sky, the high 97. Clear tonight, the low 72. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, the high 98. Thursday, partly sunny, a few isolated afternoon thunderstorms around, the high 97. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
from the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
News from the NFL, where the Dallas Cowboys and wide receiver CeeDee Lamb agree on a new 4-year contract extension worth $136 million. $100 million is guaranteed. The deal makes him the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. In baseball games of note, the Royals swept a doubleheader in Cleveland. They win the first game over the Guardians 4-3, take the second game 9-4. With those wins, Kansas City is now just one game behind Cleveland for first in the AL Central. Battle of division leaders, the NL East leading Phillies walk off with a 3-2 win in 10 innings over the AL West leading Astros. Bryce Harper, the hero, with an RBI single. Houston's lead in the AL West is now down to 3.5 games on Seattle. Mariners gained ground with a 5-1 win over the Rays. Yankees beat the Nationals 5-2. New York extended its lead on idle Baltimore for first.
DEAL or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Allstate Insurance agent Andrew Kniffer. Andrew's my agent. Let him become yours. Out at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. Look for home, life, auto, whatever you need. Andrew and his staff can get everything ready for you. Email it right there to you. So I made the change several years ago. Great deal for me. You do the same. 205-722-9201. Andrew Kniffer, Allstate Insurance. All right, get to the Andrew Kniffer hotline. Get Philip into the show. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, gentlemen. I hope you're good today.
We're good. How are you, buddy?
Okay. I'm good. Yes, there are some really good games this weekend, but I'll tell you the team that I'm going to be focused on, kind of, is for the next 2 weeks is Wisconsin, and I'll tell you why. When you think of Wisconsin, you think of what, Barry? 3 yards in a cloud of
dust.
They have an air raid offense now.
Oh, really?
Yes. It looks like they're running just an I formation quite a bit of the time, just the old standard I. But they do a lot of things with the tight end. They do a lot of things with that single back there, where he's actually, in a pass catcher, not a runner. But they are an air raid offense now. So anybody thinking that Alabama's going to fly up there and have a pretty nice away game and an easy away game, I think they may be mistaken.
Yeah, if you want to catch them, they'll play on Fox Sports 1 on Friday night against Western Michigan. So that'll be Friday night. So if you're not in high school football, it'll be a good opportunity to watch those guys. And they play South Dakota on FS1 as well, I guess, the next week. So you get a chance to look at them twice there before Alabama travels up to Wisconsin.
That's right. So that game to me is now, and I sort of fell into that trap until I started exploring Wisconsin and what they're all about. But they've had this offense now for a little bit, and it's not the old days where where you saw them playing in the Rose Bowl games, and it'd be, they get 3 yards and 3 yards of Ron Dane and 3 more yards of Ron Dane and 3 more yards and 3 yards you to death. They're not that anymore.
Yeah.
The big thing about Wisconsin, it's always been their defense. And
that's
they've
right.
always been pretty good defensively, and I would imagine they'll be good defensively again. Now, I know the offense has changed, and certainly the coaches will be aware of that after scouting them for 2 games. But I think the defense is a big factor to be able to attack them in the way they need to attack them.
It's an early kick up there, too. I think those fans will be ready. They're used to those early kicks. Sometimes you sit around all day and you wait. I don't know if Alabama would rather play early or play in the middle of the afternoon, but it's going to be, I guess there'd be maybe a noon kick 11 here in Alabama. But it should be interesting. It should be, you'll get tested there for your probably the first time. I mean, I think Western Kentucky maybe can move the ball on them, but we'll see about South Florida. But that is a game that you got to certainly kind of have your starters solidified, kind of know your rotations and all, because you can't have any hiccups there with the rest of the schedule being so difficult.
That's right. Well, it's definitely a game where Alabama's got to get off that bus inspired and enthusiastic about playing a team that is going to present some challenges, because I think they will. And I'm personally, from an Alabama fan standpoint, I'm glad that the game now is in the daytime because at nighttime up there, it gets pretty raucous.
Yeah.
So,
you gotta be, and Dad's big on this, Alabama has got to be as excited to play Wisconsin as Wisconsin's going to be to play Alabama. And
you're exactly right.
And we'll see if they can get them up for that. Because you got, of course, a week off in Georgia, but that's all everybody's talking about is that Georgia game, so you can't get to Georgia till you get through Wisconsin. So,
you cannot. You cannot. But I just wanted to
get through the first two.
Yeah, you can't get to Wisconsin until you get through West Kentucky. Yep. And you want to play well, I think. And you want to, they've done all this preaching. They put all their systems in, and you want it to, if it works really well, then the players start to believe in it. If they have some hiccups, they say, well, Coach Saban never did it that way. You start running into some of those things. So if it, hopefully it runs well for them where they buy into even more Coach DeBoer and his staff.
Right. Well, I've got Georgia beating Clemson 35-34, and I'm going to go with Florida over Miami. But I just want to throw that out there about Wisconsin there. It's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I want to ask you this, Dad. I want you to answer it as well. This Georgia-Clemson game, is this an important game for Dabo? And I don't mean for them to win, but if they get blown out, he's not taking phone calls. He's not taking transfer portal guys. And if they go in there and Georgia just steamrolls them, I think there'll be a lot of criticism start going his way, saying, hey, that what he's doing is not working. Now, if they play him really tough and it's a one-score game, I think he's fine. I think if he gets blown out, I think he's going to have a lot of people coming out of the woodwork after him. You guys agree?
I think that the big thing for Dabo is that regardless of what the score is, the athletic director's on his corner.
I understand that.
I think he's big with the athletic director. I think that athletic director's bigger than him. Oh yeah, 42-0 would be terrible, and everybody'd be. But I just think when you got an athletic director that's hired him, likes him, that not much is going to happen. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. But when you dig in and you kind of do it different than everybody else, I'm not taking portal guys, kind of coming across a little bit sensitive there. I don't know. Philip, do you think? I think it's a big game for him as far as people buying back in or saying, man, he's going to have to change his ways or we're going to have to move on.
I do. I think it's a big game for that reason, but I also think it can be a really big game if he were to pull the upset. And man, if he does that, then it's just going to be off the chain Dabo for the next 3 weeks. But I'll tell you, I think the game that's going to be really big for a coach, and that's going to be the next week when Colorado goes to Nebraska, because I think Nebraska's going to beat them.
And they will try to beat them as bad as they can if they can. So
they sure will.
No doubt. Philip, we always appreciate it, my man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, back down to the Yellowwood hotline and get Tom in. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Morning, Barry. Morning, Coach. How are y'all?
We're good.
You okay?
I'm fine. Thanks for asking. I want to make a comment about the guest this morning earlier.
No.
And Barry, don't you so misinterpret my intention. So, but anyway, Coach, the problem with UAB, and everybody runs around pissing and pawing the ground and carrying on. You remember how they jumped on Paul Jr.? Oh, he's killing UAB. He's just got a vendetta. You remember all that talk when they lost the football, and it was a lie.
I remember it all.
Yeah.
It was a lie. Paul Jr. had nothing against UAB. He didn't do a freaking thing against UAB. And, but here's the thing, and everybody dances and prances around it, and this is the reason that UAB struggles. It's the it's a graduate school. It's the lack of undergraduates. Everybody graduated somewhere else and came there. That's why their loyalty is to Alabama and Auburn. It's undergraduates. That's the key. Dr. Witt said it. He said it a million times. He said, if you want a strong university, you got to have a real strong undergrad. It's a graduate school. Don't forget that. And when that idiot gets on there popping off, say, hey, look, if you got more undergrads, you're going to be more competitive. That's what I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, I think it's more of a – my dad and I were at Little Rock. They didn't even have dorms. It was kind of a commuter school, you know. People kind of roll in there, and on the weekends they were gone. And I think UAB's problem is, of course, now this game this week is on Thursday night, but this is such an Alabama and Auburn state. You're not going to take your time to go watch UAB play on a Saturday when you got all the stuff that goes around an Alabama football game, an Auburn football game, the time. So there's no way to put that time right. So they would be better off playing their games on Thursday night, Tom. They might have a better chance of drawing in those situations.
Well, the answer to my question, Tom, about the UAB basketball, and he answered it, but nobody caught it, was that they have decent crowds according to the opponent that UAB plays.
Right.
If they play people in their league, they don't. If they play, he said Memphis,
Coach, to that point, when they played Memphis, I said, it was a raucous crowd. It was a great crowd. They won, but it wasn't a sellout.
That's right. That's my point. It's who they play.
I know.
That makes it.
I caught that.
Yeah.
But I mean, and all this hyped up stuff they make up about UAB and wanting to burn Paul Jr. in effigy and all that kind of crap. I mean, it irritates me to no end. Fanned by an ignorant bunch of media people.
They tried to burn me years ago.
Oh, I'm telling you. Well, the media did. It wasn't us. Yeah, you know better than that. Man. We didn't want to burn you.
Burn me. Woo.
But I want to say this about Joe's call. I think Joe was spot on about his predictions on LSU. Barry's been, and just like Joe said, you've been drinking Kool-Aid, but they're not going to beat USC. Now, you can take that to the bank. They're just not going to do it. LSU's not that good. Kelly's not that good of a coach. And
I'm not saying you're wrong. Why do you think the odds makers got him a 4.5-point favorite?
Well, they don't know any better, and they're trying to get people to bet.
Okay.
And
so you're saying take USC in the money line?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. They'll kill LSU. And I tell you something else too. I want to go to the Georgia game. I said it yesterday. I don't understand. I wanted to ask y'all this. You got Will Muschamp, defensive coordinator, Mike Bobo is offensive coordinator, and you got Coach Smart. Now, those three love each other. I mean, they are absolutely really good, close friends, love working together. They've seasoned together over there at Georgia. They are hitting their stride, and I think they're in their prime. And I think they'll kill Clemson. That 13.5, they'll blow by that like it was a speed bump.
I kind of think you're right. I know I did pick Clemson to cover, but I'm afraid Dabo's going to get destroyed, and then they are really going to come after him.
Well, look, his attitude's getting bad. You pointed it out. You got to email your questions to me. That's a bad look.
I agree.
And that tells me you ain't on your A game no more.
Yeah, you can handle. I mean, come on, man. You've been in this thing long enough.
You can find a way.
You can handle a question from some jackleg fan that's going to call in and talk to him. He should be able to handle that. He is
exactly right.
Very, very. I like him, but very sensitive. He's very sensitive.
too sensitive for that job.
Yeah.
But I do believe you're right about this, too, that if he gets smoked, and he is going to get smoked Saturday, that it may not be this year, but that will be the starting of the undoing.
Well, my wife's married to a Clemson fanatic. He'll be.
Your wife is?
Yeah, he'll be distraught walking around that house, and we will be.
His daughter is not his wife, his daughter.
Oh, my daughter's husband.
I thought I had uncovered something.
My daughter's husband.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
And,
I knew that.
Blake and I just annihilate him constantly over stuff. So we were actually killing him yesterday about how soft he was, not taking phone calls. And so I was waiting on that text. So if they get beat, he will cut his phone off on Saturday. So anyway,
see y'all.
See ya.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take the break. We got Tony Holt. We also got Coach DeBoer clips, and we'll play some of those as well. We want to thank Tuscaloosa Toyota. Go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. You can see all the new inventory, the pre-owned inventory. If you want to rent a Toyota, you can do it right there on the website. Schedule a service or swing by Skyland Boulevard. See David, see Justin. They'll take great care of you. They've done it with just about all of my family over there. We will talk to Justin tomorrow and find out how many cars we got sold already this month. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Lots more volume piling up on these streets right now for your morning rush. We got Lurleen Wallace and McFarland Boulevard going head to head with these delays. So McFarland on both the east and westbound lanes, you're going to find that tight between Main Avenue and Watermelon. And then Lurleen Wallace, both north and southbound lanes are extremely.
Cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports and it's brought to you by Everwood, the official treated lumber of Alabama athletics. Everwood, wood treated right. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On today's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll be joined by CTSN broadcaster Chris Stewart.
Obviously, the improvement in the main guys, Coach DeBoer, seeing the improvement that he has and really liking what he's seen there. But I think also the fact that the offense will look similar in that it's going to be a case of just putting things in place that look like Kalen DeBoer wants it to look. They're going to be a team that's going to give you multiple looks. They're going to throw it a ton, but we've also got the ability to run the football at a high level. So Nick Saban evolved in the last several years, and I think that what we see now is what he wanted to accomplish, and that is really stretch defenses, put pressure on them in a big way, and absolutely Bama's got a lot of playmakers.
I'll have more in a moment.
Producing championship quality lumber is not an easy process, but at Everwood Preserving, it's our only process. Wood treated right. Everwood offers top-notch pressure-treated wood for decks, outdoor structures, commercial jobs, and more that you can build your reputation on. When it comes to quality, we're on the winning team. Visit your local Everwood dealer today and discover the difference for yourself. Everwood Preserving Incorporated, the official lumber of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Join us this afternoon for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Everwood. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays hot and dry today with a sunny sky, the high 97. Clear tonight, the low 72. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, the high 98. Thursday, partly sunny, a few isolated afternoon thunderstorms around, the high 97. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker. Phone lines are open 205-342-9904. Go right to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Tony in. Good morning, Tony.
Hey, Tony. Good morning. How y'all doing, gentlemen?
Good, man. How are you?
Hey. Doing well, thank you. Number one, I like Tom's calls, but he is, and I don't mean to be the fact checker here, but Will Muschamp's the analyst now. He's not an on-the-field coach anymore.
Really?
He stepped back. He took time. Travarius Robinson is their defensive coordinator from Alabama. And so he's up, I guess he's just an analyst now, because I read something recently where he wanted to be, take some time with his family and stuff, so he took an off-the-field role.
Well, actually, though, it's changed, though. These analysts can coach on the field now.
Absolutely, and I expect him to be there, Sure. I think Georgia's going to be solid on defense, but I think Clemson's going to be solid on defense, too. But, guys, I look back to last year, and Joe was right to an extent. Georgia beat the teams they should have beat. The only thorn in Georgia's side recently has been Alabama, even when they beat us at one time for the title, but they have been living in a weaker division, and the teams they played last year that had a heartbeat put up a fight with them. Missouri had them beat. Auburn had them beat. Alabama did beat them. I'm not sold on their quarterback. Just like and I know I'm going to take a killing for this, but I'm looking at it. I'm taking the glass off. I'm not sold on Milroe. Milroe he better be a lot better for Alabama to do the things they want to do, because guys, I will. Let me ask y'all this before I continue. If Alabama had a different center last year, do we beat Michigan in the title game? Everybody harps on the bad snaps the center had.
So. Yeah, it was a low snap, and I think
I agree.
We had a blocking problem up front.
I agree. The problem that I had with Milroe is he didn't look like he got better throughout the year by missing the hot routes, missing the open cuts, missing not pulling the ball down and run when he should have. You don't take those kind of sacks, guys, on 3rd and 3. You don't take a 7-yard sack.
I think the big thing that you're missing is that he's going to have the ability to. I think he's a little bit better than you think. I think he has the ability not only to throw it, but to run with it if the throw's not there, better than, and the freedom to do so more so than he did with Coach Saban's offense. I think he's going to be a lot better. Go ahead.
And Coach, I would agree. I think that he was on track to be a great. I think what happened to him, his confidence got shot after that Texas game, and when they benched him against South Florida. I don't know that he got over that.
That was a situation where the team wanted to find out who the second-string quarterback was. That's the whole deal there, was to try to find out if he got hurt, who they were going to put in. And that particular game, when the offensive and defensive lines both quit, they couldn't find one. They didn't find one.
Yeah, well, that's true. I expect Clemson to hold a close game with him, and I do think, for what y'all are saying, I think it's an extremely important game for Dabo Swinney. I really do.
Yeah, I do too.
And who do y'all think would be a surprise team in the SEC? Do y'all think it's in Missouri? Do you think it's LSU? I think LSU's going to be better because of what they did upgrading. They got, what was his name? Bo, whoever it was that used to be at Alabama is now their defensive line coach. Bo Davis. Yeah. I think they're going to be better. They recruited well, but I think Missouri's going to be dangerous.
It could be. Hey, I use the word could, okay?
Yeah.
It could be the surprise team in the SEC would be A&M.
Yeah, I didn't fact check it, but I know Coach Saban said on game day that Missouri had the easiest schedule of all the SEC teams. So I need to look at their schedule. So I think the schedule is the key. So that's why I think Texas is going to do, not that they would be a sleeper, going to do so well, because I think their schedule lines up perfect for them, to be honest with you, the first year, Tony.
Yeah, and I think Alabama could be a better team, but the schedule that we have is brutal. I mean, it's a tough schedule. And
I would say one thing about about Kirby, I think he got a lot of Coach Saban stuff, but Coach Saban always has his team ready to play regardless of the opponent. I think sometimes Georgia plays to the level of competition. They went down to Auburn. Auburn was not very good, so they slept walk all day. Coach Saban, generally, his teams didn't do that. I think Kirby's teams do that sometimes.
They won't Saturday.
No, they won't Saturday. They'll be sky high. They'll be, Saturday that you're going to get their best shot. I think that quarterback's pretty darn good.
I do too. I think he's a terrific quarterback.
Yeah.
We shall see, gentlemen. Y'all have a good week.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, man.
Good call.
Bye.
All right, back to the Yellowwood Hotline. Get Larry in. Good morning, Larry.
Hey, Larry.
Good morning, Barry, Coach.
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Sitting here watching Wells Fargo.
Anybody killed?
Yeah. Dale Robertson. That was a good call by Tony. I'm a long-time listener. I don't get to call in a lot, but that was a real good. Being in Georgia, I feel that way. I think Georgia's going to have to play somebody this year, and I wasn't impressed by Beck at all, really. I think it was just who they played. And I think the weak schedule, teams with weak schedules, that's pretty good, might be hanging around toward the end. Like you said, Texas. Well, I mean, Texas is good, of course, but they got a weak schedule. Missouri, I feel like Missouri might be hanging around, in the end. So
I think Kirby Smart's going to use that. People say we've never played anybody. He's going to use all that to motivate.
Well, look at his schedule next year, Barry. My Lord.
Motivate his team to play.
They didn't play nobody. Listen, I live in Georgia. Like I said, them people have high expectations, and I had to live with them. They were worse than Florida State. Now I'm telling you, that whining still shoulda, coulda, woulda. But anyway, I got a story about Wisconsin. My son lives in Janesville.
Yes, sir.
He's a diehard Bulldog fan. He's been up there 7 years for his job. And he told me, I talked to him yesterday when he got off from work. I called him. We were talking football, and he said, "Let me tell you something, Dad." He says, "It's going to be eggs and beer, and y'all better come up here and ready to play." That's all he said. He said, "That's all I'm going to tell you." He said, "I have to live with these folks up here, and that's all they talking about."
Well, can you imagine? Alabama comes to town. It's a lot like Kentucky basketball coming to town. It just feels different. There's something different. There's a different feeling in the town, and those people, can you imagine how excited they are to have?
Listen, Barry, they'll be drinking beer and have tailgating at 9 o'clock.
Oh,
that's a beer drinking state up there. I went up there Thanksgiving 3 years ago. There's a tavern on every corner.
There you go. Yeah, it'll be, and they'll be excited. So hopefully, Alabama players will be just excited to play those guys because you'll need to.
Yeah, I think we'll win. But he just said, "Come ready to play." He said, "Them fans, just cause it's in the morning, they'll be ready." But I wanted to say too before we hang up, if Dabo beats Georgia, he'll be the next best thing for a while. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing everything right.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't need the portal. He didn't. Anyway, well, y'all have a good day, guys. Enjoying the show today.
Thank you, Larry. I think it's a big game for him. Do you? And people have criticized Georgia's schedule and they're probably right. But then I think Kirby Smart will do a great job of motivating his team in those big games, and they're good enough to beat the teams. Maybe they play down to the level of competition. Maybe they'll slip up one this year, but I look for them to play well on Saturday. He won't have to have a special speech.
I think the big thing about Kirby is they'll be well prepared.
Yeah.
I think they'll be so prepared that they.
Losing that Alabama game, that's been eating at them all year. And so I think you're going to get, it's going to be a wild crowd in there, and it'll be a pro-Georgia crowd, even though Clemson's not far. But, I may have to go back.
It's going to be a pro-Georgia crowd. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's tell them about Bryant Bank before we get to break.
Well, Bryant Bank with the locations in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, throughout the state, one in Columbiana, several places here. In Birmingham, I've been trading with them for a long time. It's a bank that you can go in and visit with the banker, and not only will the bank be nice, but the head man will be happy to see you and invite you in and do a good job with you, and his people that work around him will do a good job with you. You can bank online, banking around the clock, gives you really the freedom and flexibility to bank the way you want to. They do everything they can to do a good job in the community, same area code, same zip code. same everything except maybe the ones down in Mobile. Sad truth is that so many small businesses are targeted by fraud attempts. Sometimes you may have two accounts at a bank, the personal and your business account. They do a great job of being darn sure that your bank your money is taken care of, that what you do is important to them, and they always do a really good job of being sure that you're one of them. So go by Bryant Bank, tell them you heard it inside the locker room, and if you're not pleased for some particular reason, just give me a call. Sometime they can give you my phone number, and we'll straighten it out. Bryant Bank, the very, very best.
All right, phone lines still be open, 205-342-9904. We also have some clips from Coach Kalen DeBoer. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Lots more volume piling up on these streets right now for your morning rush. We got Lurleen Wallace and McFarland Boulevard going head to head with these delays. So McFarland on both the east and westbound lanes, you're going to find that tight between Main Avenue and Watermelon. And then Lurleen Wallace, both north and southbound lanes are extremely heavy.
Remember M for money and Mesrano.
If it has a logo on it, call me. 205-800-8000.
Alabama fans are all over the world, and we are too. Download the Tide 100.9 app right now in the App Store and Google Play, and take the Crimson Tide everywhere you go.
Back to Inside the Locker Room. All right, Chase, let's go to Coach DeBoer. We'll go through these kind of one at a time, just as always. These guys have an opening statement here. This is really the first time the only time he's going to really meet with the media. He will have his radio show tomorrow, and yes, I think he probably will actually take questions, but no other media availability for Coach DeBoer. It's a little bit different than how Coach Saban did. But here's Kalen DeBoer's opening statement yesterday.
Finally game week. So I'm sure just like everyone across the country and our fan base, our players are excited. So they've put a lot of work in. And the thing I guess I'm most impressed with is just how they've sustained a high level of energy, not just the first week or the first 2 weeks. They've really sustained a high level of energy, focus, all the way through camp. And, Saturday was, I think, a great example for us. Had a great practice, just a lot of, just get to work. The same thing I would expect tomorrow, but you kind of get that week out and things like that. And I was just really impressed with our guys' mindset. And yesterday, again, just getting the guys together and getting their workouts and just the film sessions and just the level of attention to detail. They're excited to play and excited to hit someone else. Really looking forward to this Saturday against a Western Kentucky team that, coached by Coach Helton. A lot of respect. I know our staff has a lot of respect, both sides of the ball, myself included. We know Coach Helton's done a great job there at Western Kentucky as well as the rest of his career. Going to be, a great football game. Got a coach with a offensive mindset. I think defensively we got to make sure we're aware of what they're going to do to attack us, and there's a lot of questions I think in both sides of the ball, all phases, especially the first game. Depth charts and things like that. You just pretty much looking at a roster and trying to place all the transfers and all the guys that are returning, especially on their team, trying to place those into spots that you might expect and figure out the numbers the best you can. So looking forward to another great week here going into the game, and excited about it where we're at.
I'm sure it's nice for those guys, Dad. Normally when you inherit a program, something's been going wrong. A guy got fired. He hadn't been doing this, that, and the other. There was some kind of controversy there. But to inherit a program like this where these guys already have a work ethic, they're used to working hard, they're used to be organized stuff, that's got to be nice for those guys. They didn't have to bring that culture in. It was already here.
Well, I think the big thing, going back to his press conference, is that he never, ever is specific about players themselves. He never tells you who has the chance to play at right tackle or quarterback, or even how Milroe's doing. He doesn't use names of players. He talks about the team. He has a reason for that. He doesn't want to be expectations for certain people and fans and players to, when he calls somebody's name. When you call somebody's name, it means you left out somebody else's name. You've left them out. So I think based on that, yeah, you're right. The culture's been good here. There's no doubt about that. But I do think in listening to what he has to say, and I appreciate so much him taking my request to be on our radio show when he didn't even know me at all. And I just think he's very, very careful in what he says, and so we'll have him on as much as we can. I don't know how. He'll have to, once the season starts, he'll have to talk about who played well and who didn't, I think.
Yeah, if there was any criticism to last year, I don't know that early on, maybe they didn't know who was going to be the quarterback, so the system maybe didn't fit the personnel. And then when they decided it was going to be Milroe, then they kind of tried to build the offense around it. I think that's why they got kind of a late start offensively. I think when his very first press conference, he talked about adjusting to the scheme to the personnel. So I think that's something he's comfortable doing. They asked about that. Let's go ahead and play the clip number 2 there, Chase.
Yeah, I think every year, it isn't even just about one school to another. I think it's the roster you have. And each year that gets tweaked a little bit. You might be running back, with a little more depth or tight ends, is your one of your key areas. I think we're very balanced across all of the skill positions. And then, of course, you look at your quarterback, you look at the strength, what you can do offensive line-wise. And so it's never exactly from one year to the next, even if there's a lot of continuity, because you're going to lose someone. So there's certainly some adjustments that Coach Sheridan, our staff, has done in really working with the personnel. So that will continue to evolve as the season goes along. You have guys that continue to improve, especially younger guys or guys that are kind of taking those next steps. They'll make those big steps, and you'll really incorporate them, and it might be a package at some point that they're incorporated in, and then all of a sudden it's something where they're a regular player and maybe even a starter.
That's coaching, right? Dad, when you start seeing what guys can and can't do, then you build plays for those guys. You may do something different defensively because you got more speed in a certain area there. So you evolve as the year, and you add as the year goes on, correct?
Yeah, you do. And I think it's always, you always come in with the first sentence is, I thought. I thought this would happen. I thought this didn't happen. I thought we'd do better here than we did here. That's the first sentence in the staff meetings, or when the guys get together, because you end up having a staff meeting with everybody in there, and then of course you break down on generally speaking on Monday. You break down the offense and defense separated, and you bring them all together. So that's where I think that's where we are, and I think Coach has done a good job of. I think he's done a good job, Barry, of keeping everybody on the team on the same page.
Yeah.
Now, there's not everybody. Is everybody happy? No. Perfectly happy? No. They never are. But I do think the one key thing, if I said anything right today, is that he's kept everybody on the same page, and I think that's good.
Yeah, I think he's kept, for the most part, everybody happy. Now, I think Sunday, some of these guys probably think they're going to play.
Yeah.
That don't play. Yeah. It'll change a little bit. Now, maybe they can play everybody. Maybe there's a blowout there and they can get everybody in. But I think that they'll have to deal with that as they go. That's
I think Western Kentucky coming in being, and I've tried to study. I started to study Western a little bit because of this blue crap I try to do. And I know it's been lesser teams, but they're pretty good offensively. He's done a pretty good job with them offensively. So I I think the defense has to be ready to swarm. Defense has to swarm, no doubt about that.
At the start of every season, did you have jitters a little bit as to how your team was going to play?
I reckon.
Yeah. All right. Well, they asked Coach about that. Obviously, he's in a place like Alabama. He's come all the way from Washington. He's been at a low level. Now he's been at a high level, but now arguably he's driving the ship of the greatest program in college football. They asked what gives him first game jitters. Here's what Kalen DeBoer said about that.
Well, I talked to the team, and I think what it really comes down to, and are you asking specifically for me? I don't know if you get like jitters, but I think it's good to have butterflies, right? It's good to have like an excitement, just excited for the week. And, we talk to our guys about, whether it's nervousness or anxiety, butterflies, that's not a bad thing, because it means it's really important. It means that they put a lot into it and they want to perform well. I think it always comes down to your preparation. And if you've prepared the best you can and you're ready and, more than your opponent and done everything possible all week long, as well as your teammates. And, when you're prepared well, you're going to be confident. And that's the whole key. That's the whole key. And it just doesn't start this week. It's something that's been ongoing since the day the staff got here, since the first day of workouts in the winter. There's just a mindset that's been happening, and we talk about creating an attitude. Not installing special plays that help your attitude. You create an attitude all year long, and so if you're anxious and things like that, it means you're a little bit unsure. And so I really, I'm excited about the way we prepared. And so, it's going to be important to these guys. For me, I think it's just a matter of making sure, again, I'm prepared with all the things, whether it's the schedule leading up to kickoff, whether it's just making sure, all the staff is aligned with our communication and how we want that to flow, that our guys understand, all the little details, especially a first game. We've gone through that over the last couple of weeks with little mock games and mock Saturdays, and talked about the hotel on Friday and Saturday, what that's all going to look like. We've kind of wrapped that up on Saturday with some final things in the stadium, just on even which sideline and where the benches are and who's sitting where. And we've talked about the tablets and all that kind of stuff, and the coach-to-player communication. There's a lot of new things even this year that are specific to college football, but obviously there's even more when it comes to a new staff and just everyone being on the same page.
Well,
you do know where the jitters are, don't you, Barry?
Where's that?
They're in his wife's stomach.
Yeah.
His wife.
Yeah.
She's got the jitters. And the wives.
Who's going to get tickets to the box? What we're going to eat in the box?
Yeah. And the assistant coaches' wives are concerned. But the wife is very concerned, and she's trying to figure out, do we go this way to the box? But not so much that is, she is worried about how they're going to play. She is. Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, I believe that with all my heart.
Okay. You didn't even think about that. Like, okay, when you come to the sideline, where does each position group go? Because you got to meet with them. So he may do it different than what Coach Saban did.
I think also the one person on each team with a dot on their helmet and the tablets combined, you've got to be more organized than you've ever been.
Who's charging those tablets?
I don't know. They got a tablet guy in charge of them. They also got a guy that says he's darn sure there's not two guys with tablets with dots on their helmets on the same side.
Yeah. Make sure that. All right. This one I like. What traditions does Coach DeBoer have? Something silly. Like when I took the Northridge job, when school was out, the former coaches have made them stay there all day. They ate there, they stayed there, and I'm like, what? I would not want to do that. So I said, man, when it's classes, leave, go home, go eat. And the guys, they didn't practice till 5 something. I'm like, what? I don't want to practice at 5 something. Let's practice at 2:15. So just trying to think of things that the players would enjoy more. They want to kind of go eat whatever they want to eat. And so I think Coach DeBoer's kind of done some of those things here as well. Hey, what did you like? What did you not like? And try to kind of build the traditions around that.
Barry, did you tell them what not to eat?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. But, you know, we didn't, they used to feed them these meals. I'm like, man, these guys a lot of times they don't eat that stuff. So just have some snacks and stuff in here and then let them go on their own in the JV or whatever they can eat. But here's what Coach DeBoer's talk about traditions.
There is not a lot. Pretty boring probably that way. Not a lot of things that I feel I have to. I mean, it's all about the schedule, you know, and the schedule, I guess, would probably be the thing I feel the most strong about, that you're eating within a certain time frame before the game, and, you know, what that morning walkthrough looks like and kind of roughly when that is. It changes if it's a morning game, afternoon game, evening game. But, you know, I also want to hear what our players have done, and so there's a couple things, you know, on Friday that we'll tweak maybe from what I've done, and it's really, I've been okay with it at other places. It's just a matter of, you know, those teams didn't want to do some of those things. It might be when you do your chapel, you know, might be when you know, the other activities. Do teams like go to movies and things like that on Friday? So a lot of those things, I think from team to team, it's always different.
Well, I like that. The players have a little say so. Hey, when we'll have chapel, do you guys want to do a movie? I wouldn't want to go to a movie, personally, but that's probably something, but Coach Saban probably made them go to the movie. Well, it's not an option. And I'm not saying they can make all the decisions, but simple ones like that, I think work out pretty well. All right, let's, go ahead and take this last break and then we'll come back and wrap up the show. You listen to Tide 100.9, SC home of Alabama Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Oh, definitely beefing up on 37th Avenue right now. We got an accident in the eastbound lanes at McFarland Boulevard. Busy intersection, even busier now. And we're also looking at slow and go traffic actually starting to dissipate. So, hey, I'm not half bad with this on McFarland Boulevard, both east and westbound.
Tuscaloosa Tractor has great deals and financing programs on Kubota equipment to fit your budget. Tuscaloosa Tractor, Skyland Boulevard East. Don't you buy no ugly tractor.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays hot and dry today with a sunny sky, the high 97. Clear tonight, the low 72. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, the high 98. Thursday, partly sunny, a few isolated afternoon thunderstorms around, the high 97. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. We go to the app messages. Steven answered your question, Dad, but probably not the way. Riley Leonard, the Duke starter from last year, is first on the depth chart, just released at Notre Dame. He also went to Fairhope High School. So Riley Leonard is at Notre Dame, but he is the backup quarterback. Now, that doesn't tell you who the starter is, but I think you want to know.
Well, are there quarterbacks from Duke?
He is from Duke, but he's the backup. So at Notre Dame. So that means they got somebody better than him. He's from Fairhope High School. All right, that's it for today's show. We're going to get out here tomorrow. Remember, Roman Harper will join us at 7:30, and then we'll have Bill Cameron at 8:15. We'll find out what's going on with the Auburn Tigers. The Gary Harris Show is next, so keep it locked in. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. It's the home of Alabama Sports. Have a great day, everybody.